welcome to my channel. Thank you for joining me. As I mentioned last week, this channel is all about my journey into changing career and hopefully finding out what I really want to do in my 40s. So as I mentioned last time, at the end of last year, I'd started to get very bored in my current job. I've been there 6 years. Starting to count the days down to the weekend. I was dreading Mondays. I still am dreading Mondays. So towards the end of last year, I sat down and I thought, what do I really want to do? And as I also mentioned last week, I used to work in theatre. I used to produce theatre. I didn't really make much money from it because producing fringe theatre, there's not really any money. But I really missed working with creative people, doing creative work. So I sat down and I thought, well, I gave theatre a good go. I'm not really looking to go back into theatre at the moment because I felt quite burnt out. I felt a bit unsatisfied with how things have went. So I thought, what else can I do? So when I was growing up, it wasn't just theatre I was interested in. I was also really interested in film. I actually, when I was 16, around about, I think, I was doing A-levels and I did film studies, photography and English literature. I didn't actually finish those because I hated school, as I also mentioned. I got really badly bullied, so I didn't really want to be in education. So I stopped and I didn't really go back to it. But at the end of last year, I went, do you know what? I really do still love film, so I'd like to give it a go. So I sat down and went, well, what can I do? So firstly, I thought, well, I really enjoy film festivals. I'm good at organising events. So I sat down, I thought, I'm going to try and get some experience in film festivals, which I'm going to talk about in my next video. But then I also thought I'd like to get some experience in film. I'd done some editing before and I really enjoyed that. So I thought, do you know what? I'm going to try and get better at editing. I'm also really interested in lighting. So I thought maybe I'd give cinematography a go. So I ended up enrolling myself in a 10-week foundation course in filmmaking. So I started that in February and it has many highs and many lows. So I'm going to talk a little bit about how I found the course. Hopefully I'll put some clips of the film we made while I'm talking. So at the start of the course, we kind of just went through general filmmaking stuff, how films are structured. And the teacher asked if we'd like to submit script and gave us a deadline. So we had 2 weeks to write script if we wanted to. We didn't have to. And when I was doing my master's and my BA, I did really well with my essays. I really hated writing. I just hated it. I'm a procrastinator. I couldn't start. I always end up doing it all last minute because I'd left it so long. But I'd always end up getting really good marks. I'd always end up getting distinctions from about year 2 in my BA and all the way through my second master's. I got distinctions for nearly everything. So I knew I could write. I just really didn't want to write. But in January, I randomly went to a lecture on spiritual mediums and I had this little idea. Want to be fun to write a screenplay about a fake medium, like one of those Facebook, fake mediums that contact people and exchange money. They'll tell them they've been in contact with their loved ones. So I thought, wouldn't it be funny to write something? I thought, I'll give it a go, not really expecting it to do very well. So I wrote a little screenplay about a fake medium. And I only did a first draft because I got sick the second week we had to write it. So I thought I'd submit it anyway. And it turns out everyone seemed to really like it. Everyone found it really funny. And it ended up getting picked as one of the 2 scripts which we were making. So I was really happy about that. We had to kind of split into 2 teams. So obviously I was going to be on my team. And everyone seemed so excited to do it. We set up a WhatsApp group. Everyone was really keen. So that was great. I was feeling really excited. I thought, wow, I'm going to get to film something I've actually written myself. So that was amazing. I thought, I really love writing. I think I can try this. And then some of the lows happened. So as always, when doing group work, not everyone really does as much as everyone else. So as I'm from a producing background, I'm quite used to production organisation, production management. So I set up a spreadsheet for props. So I was like, can you all have a look if you've got any of the props or costume items? Can you put your initials next to it? So it was only me and the other lady in our group, also called Marie, and we both filled out the form. The guys in the group just didn't bother. And then with casting, we needed to cast 3 parts. So there was the main part, which is the fake medium character. And then there was a second part, who's the rich widow, young female part. And then we needed an older gentleman to play the deceased husband. Anyway, so one of the guys was doing an acting course. He said, Marie, I'll speak to people in my class. I can sort out 2 of the roles. So I put a casting call out on my own social media. An actress I know, Kelly, was quite interested, so I got her signed up to play the main part. But this is where things went a bit wrong. So this guy was like, yeah, don't worry, leave it, don't find anyone for those parts, I'll sort that out. Gets to Wednesday, we're filming on Friday, and we still haven't got these 2 parts cast. I am getting very stressed by now because I like to do stuff properly. Anyway, finally he found one of his classmates to play the female character, but he didn't find anyone for the male character, and it was left for me to find out in within 24 hours. Wasn't happy, really stressed. If I'd just been let to do it myself, I would have found all of the actors in advance. In the end, it was too short notice, and we had to get our teacher to play the part. And no offence, I'm sure he's a great director, but anyway, his acting was probably not as good as his directing, but what can you do? And I think the problem with me, I'm quite a perfectionist, and it was really important for me to do as good as I could. I think half the group was seeing it as just as a beginner's course. It didn't really matter what the final project was like. It was a learning experience, but I was seeing it as in, I want to get my best out of this, I want to get something good, I want a nice film at the end. And I think the other female in my group also felt the same. Anyway, me and the other Marie met before the class. We went through our shot lists, how we were going to do it, because we were both directing the first week. We didn't really get any information on directing from the course. I think it was more focused on technical stuff rather than the creative stuff like directing and writing. So I kind of figured it out, and I thought, well, what do I need? I need to write a list of the shots and where the camera's going to be and the close-ups. So I did that. I met with Marie, she did the same. Anyway, we got turned up, cast arrived, and we filmed the first scene we filmed was the main scene, which I was directing, and I just love directing. I was kind of scared about it because I do have social anxiety, and I was thinking, oh, I'm going to have to stand in front of people and direct them and give them notes, and am I going to get really anxious? Am I going to really struggle? But I loved it. It was so much fun. It was so collaborative. Everyone was having a good time. It went so well. I left the class, I was just buzzing that night. I was so excited. Yeah, and then so the next week, on the Friday before my class, I get an email from the teacher. This is one of the big lows of the course. Marie, I've got some bad news and some good news, the email read. The bad news is someone deleted all of your footage from last week. The good news is maybe it's for the best. That's not really good news. Anyway, I felt like I'm just going to quit this course. I'm going to withdraw my script. I was about to explode. I was so stressed. The actor who was playing the main part, she couldn't do the third week of shooting, so this meant we only had one evening to film basically 90% of this short film. Anyway, I pulled myself together because I don't think anyone else was as stressed as me, and some magical way we all managed to get there for 5. The class doesn't usually start at 6:30. The actors, all of our group, our teacher, we all got there for 5. And we ended up having to cast, we had a guy in our group who was young, so we ended up casting him in the old guy, and I kind of had to tweak it, so it was a twin to the deceased character. In the end, I made it his much younger brother who was in disguise as him, but I won't reveal too much of the scripts that we kind of had to move around, but we had him playing the male part, and he did a much better job than the teacher whose acting was terrible, so that was good. But anyway, somehow we magically managed to get everything that we'd filmed the previous week done by the time the class is officially meant to have started at 6:30. So, gosh, that was a relief. But then another low. The guys, the scenes that they were meant to direct, they didn't even look at the script before the class. One of the scenes, they only did like one take, and they were like, oh yeah, that's fine. And then the teacher made us do another take in the end, but they're like, oh yeah, that's enough. Looking back at the footage and editing, it was not enough. We should have done multiple takes. The acting wasn't great from the actors. Like, they needed some time to warm up. They needed some time to go through the scene. But it is what it is. I think by this point I'd kind of realised that maybe it wasn't going to be like a amazing film. It was just going to have to be what it was going to be. But on a positive, I found out I love directing and I love writing. And so we finally wrapped up the final week. It went okay. And then the final weeks was editing. Even though I went in thinking I was going to do editing, I wasn't really that interested as I thought I would be. But we got it done. It finished. It was okay. It wasn't as good as I would have liked it to have been. But now I'm looking back at it, I'm thinking maybe I can work on a script a bit more. Maybe I can add a few pages. Maybe I can, do it again at a later date. It's not the end of the world. I think, when you're working in a group in a beginner's level, not everyone's going to be as committed. I feel now, moving forward, any other classes I do at more advanced level, people are going to be a bit more committed. So I feel like, it was fine. So I'm really happy that I discovered writing and directing through this. I'm now started on a second script, which I'm working on, which I'll speak about in a further video. I've also, next weekend, I'm going to be doing an intensive hands-on directing weekend with rain dance. I'm really excited about that. I will let you know how that goes in a couple of weeks. So I feel like, as much as it was quite stressful, the course, I learned a lot. I got a lot out of it, and it's given me stuff to work on. So I'm feeling quite positive. I'm looking forward to where things go. Thank you all for listening. I really love to know if you guys have got anything you're working on, anything that you're hoping about doing. Please write something in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. And please, as always, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. It really helps me out. I'm just starting out my journey here. I'm hoping you'll all follow along. So next week I'm going to be talking about the film festival volunteering I've been doing, which has been absolutely brilliant. I'm really excited to share that with you. So thanks again for watching, and hopefully some of you will join me again. Bye. Thanks for watching.